Hello, everybody. Recording live from somewhere.
It's The Session with Mel G.
And on my right,
Drop 30, Miami.
And now for my next number, I'd like to return to the classic.
Times.
Live straight classic.
Yo, bro, I take your ancestral home to the improvement store. Hey, yo, these shits made out of paper. These are useless doors. Yeah. How you gonna win this battle when the Japanese stay losing wars? Last time y'all won shit, motherfuckers was still using swords.
I think that we should start with this session. But before we begin, let me ask you a few questions. Have you...
Welcome to The Session and TheSessionTV. I'm your host, Mel G, here for a very special interview, one that I've been trying to do for a very long time. I'm excited to be back on my interview game because this is a part of the culture that deserves more shine, definitely. The Miami locals need to be recognized, and because this is the big homie right here. So please welcome Dropz, aka Drop 30, to The Session. What's up, my friend? How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How are you?
Good, man. Good to be here with you. And again, excited just to cover Miami culture, your culture, the battle rap cultures, which is super interesting to me. Something that, you know, I've learned about over the years just being a hip hop fan, but I'm finally here getting information that I've always been curious about and just to learn more about, you know, what you do. So first and foremost, I want to highlight something that's important to me and my show, that we're Hispanic. And I want to rep and shine a little bit of light on that. So you're originally born in Dominican Republic, correct?
That's right.
How how old were you when you came to Miami?
So when I left Dominican Republic, I was around maybe 5-6 years old.
Oh.
I went first to New York, was the first place I went to in the United States. And then I came down here. I'm not a New Yorker. I'm a Miami person.
Yeah, that's what I like to see.
It's just easier to immigrate to New York than it is to immigrate here. But definitely I came down here real young, so I'm mostly raised in Miami. But I was always back in DR, back and forth for like the first like maybe 14 years of my life.
So would you say that like that Dominican culture played a big part in your life growing up, all that stuff? Still, even though you moved and all that stuff, being with your family and all that, you know, keeping the culture alive in that sense?
Definitely. DR is a big part of me. It's a big part of my identity.
Yeah.
Usually people guess that I'm Dominican if they've met other Dominicans right away. But it's definitely a big part of me. It's always stayed with me, and I love repping my peoples. You know, that's what I do.
Of course, man. Gotta shine light to that. How did your love for hip-hop start?
I have two uncles, right, that they're relatively young compared to my parents. You know, they're only like maybe like 10 or 12 years older than me. And in DR, they lived in DR. That's where they were into Wu-Tang, Fugees, Redman. Like that's really where I picked that up from, was from them super young when I was like maybe like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Like it's when I still lived there.
Okay.
I picked that up from them. And
I'm guessing going to New York too, you get there.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as I saw like they were into hip hop, they were into basketball.
Yeah.
So those two things like just kind of became two of my first loves real young.
Sure.
And then of course going to New York right after in the 90s. You know, it just the whole like aesthetic of it and the whole just kind of
you
feel.
probably felt that shit even as a young kid.
Definitely.
I can imagine.
And it impacted me in a big way back then. To me, that it's just so cool. Like these were like superheroes.
Yeah,
to me,
that's how I felt.
You know, and that stuck with me, and it's always been there.
So I see that you apparently love Aaliyah so much. Do you really be bumping her music? Because that shit matters to me.
I do.
I love Aaliyah. Yo.
I love Aaliyah, and let me tell you. I not only love Aaliyah for what she did as an artist, but the people who were working behind her did such a great job in molding her and her career. Mm-hmm. Timbaland, Missy Elliott,
so talented.
It was just a perfect storm of her voice, their production, their vision for her. It worked out perfectly. I love Aaliyah, and
that's so dope. You see, I didn't really know that about you, so it's cool that you have like an R&B, so you're not always so aggressive, you know, with the bars and all that.
You kind of have to, you know. If not, I'm just gonna walk around mad all the time. I just focus on my battle bars and be like, yo, fuck this nigga at the supermarket. You know, you have to.
That's good, man. So there's a quote from a battle against Johnny Black that you said, "Born in February, that's why I lead Black history." And I thought that was super interesting. I believe you're born February 20th?
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
So I got it right.
Pisces gang, you know.
Based on that little quote, it just like you know, from hanging out with you and knowing you over the years, how did you get into people like Malcolm X and things like that?
Well, I remember very, very vividly my first like interest in things like racial injustice and things like that. It was when I was in 3rd grade. I remember when we were learning about Martin Luther King and, you know, all of the civil rights movements and things like that were happening in the 60s. I remember thinking, I'm like, yo, but hold on, like, shit is still fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, I remember thinking
I love that you had that realization. Like, that's so awesome.
Because you have a different perspective coming from DR, right? In DR, there is no like kind of like white and black people. It's everybody's Dominican. Everybody's a Dominican person. If you're from somewhere else, you're from somewhere else.
That's true.
But if you're Dominican, you're Dominican. You're not white Dominican. You're not black Dominican. You know what I'm saying?
That shit's so skewed.
So when I got over here and I saw how differently like black people are referred to and treated, and like you have entire communities that it's just black people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold on, like that shit is still fucked up.
Yeah.
All the places where all the black people live are unmaintained and kind of, you know, not funded and just kind of.
Bro, they're set up because like they put liquor stores everywhere, they put shitty food everywhere. Like that's how they get you, bro. So, it's like a systematic.
So I remember when they were teaching me all this and they were showing me that that like animated Martin Luther King movie and all that, and I'm like, hold on, but shit ain't fixed. Like. I remember thinking that, and that's because I have an outside perspective. I was able to see that shit and see like,
I love that.
Like they're trying to really like paint it like it's been a wrap.
And not to just like pick out Malcolm, I'm just using him as an example, but did these people sort of like mold you like as the man that you are today and kind of like taught you some things along the way? I
remember it ties back into that to when I started learning about Martin Luther King. Obviously that's what they teach everybody in school, right?
The basic
and I heard of Malcolm X just through people speking of it, you know, just through the name. And I'm like, but hold on, how come, like, who is this guy, Malcolm X? Like, he has a really cool name. Who is he? You know, I'm gonna be real. He has a really cool name. Who is that? And then I read up on him and I read what he was about and the things he was speaking about and what he was preaching. And I'm like, why aren't they teaching some of this? You know, why don't they teach this? But then after you grow up a little bit, you learn they don't teach this because they're scared of people being educated about this kind of stuff. They want people to be educated in another route, you know, but they're scared to show both sides of what could be. Because people might start thinking differently.
On a more personal note, obviously 2020 was a little bit hectic with everything that happened last year with the social, racial injustices. How did you feel, you know, going to some of the protests that you attended, and like, what did you learn, or like, what did you feel being there in those moments? Because that's a part of history, you know what I mean? Like, when they write our history books for 2020, that's just gonna be in there. So, how was that experience for you, just fighting for your life out there? You know,
it really showed me that we've progressed, but not as much as we think. You know, they always like to paint like a post-racial view of the United States of where we at right now. It's not that. There's still very much racism, and not only racism, but just clash between people and like authoritarianism. Like when I was there at those protests, the one thing that I noticed is like the cops, the way they acted, it's almost they were instructed to act a certain way toward us,
like robots,
or not. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a lot of antagonizing there by the cops. There was a lot of instigating there by both cops and people. There were protesters instigating too. You know, but it really showed me like at the end of the day, not much has changed. It's still the same world that, you know, we lived in 50 years ago. Just they fix a couple things.
Put a Band-Aid on it. That's what I like to say. It's like, okay, they shut you up for a little bit.
Right,
and it's like back
but
to
they don't really address the real root of the problem, and that's what causes shit like what we saw last year.
It's unfortunate, man. Just to pivot here a little bit, something that I've always wanted to ask you about. I don't know why I never asked you before, but your hair journeys, like. Before you had the fro, you were known for your fro. You know, a lot of people called you by that. And in your battles too, you know, a lot of people recognize you for the fro. And now you're a little bit on the dread journey. So is there any reason in particular, like it takes a lot of commitment to do shit like that. So I just wanted to ask you if there was any reason why you did that both times.
I love my hair, man. I love it. I'll be honest with you, when I was growing up as a kid, you know, I'm a darker Hispanic. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely, I have a lot of black in me.
Right.
through, of course, like most Dominicans do. And a lot of people don't know this, but Dominicans, there is a lot of colorism in Dominican culture where they kind of try to push a lighter Dominican in the forefront. You know, they try to, like definitely, like they, you know, Dominican families always kind of look down on you if you date somebody darker than you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a thing. And I grew up with that feeling of like, you know, of not liking my darker features and things like that, because that's what you grow up in. That's what you
it's
think.
like pushed on you.
Right. But then as I got older, I'm like, man, I could grow a fro.
Yeah.
This shit is awesome. Like I remember I thought and really this is one thing that really inspired me to grow my fro was when I played NBA Street 2.
Oh my god, I had a bunch of those guys.
Right, they had a stretch that had the fro, and they had Dr. J. Right now, Dr. J. I knew of Dr. J because my uncles were into basketball. Right, but when I was playing with him in NBA Street, I'm like, yo, this is the coolest person that has ever existed,
so
yo.
dope. I love that.
This Dr. J guy is the man, yo. And I'm like, you know what, bro? Let me grow my fro. Like, I could do that. Let me grow my fro. And I grew it, and I just love the way it looked.
You felt happy, yo.
Yeah, I felt like, damn, yo, like, for the first time, I felt like I was in love with myself. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome
when I saw myself.
I'm so glad I asked you.
And it felt good. It just felt good. I felt confident having the fro. And it's like I noticed like people would talk to me about it sometimes. They'd be like, oh shit, yo, I like your hair, yo. Or like older people would be like, man, I had that in the 70s. And it just, it sparked so much conversation. And people just liked it so much. I mean, I liked it so much of myself that.
What made you cut it then? And then like get back into this journey?
It gets hot. You know, it gets hot, and then sometimes
Miami especially.
And sometimes it gets unmanageable, right? So when I have the fro, I'll cut it a few times, right? And I'll cut it to round it out and make it. But after a certain point, it kind of like starts growing in a shape that kind of So then I just usually cut it and start over. And this time I decided to let my hair lock up and do more like my, you know, like just let my hair fall and not pick it out. Let it lock up by itself, just because I've never done it before and I've always wanted to try it.
And it's like naturally curly, like that's in the
this is freeform locks. I haven't done any technique to this. This is just my hair. When I wake up, I like it. I let it rock.
I can't wait to see, bro, the rest of the journey. That
definitely. I definitely need a retwist right now, but
all good. Why battle rap?
So when I was a kid in school, I was part of the wrestling team. Right, that was the only sport that I really was good enough to be part of a team on. You know, I also used to fight a lot. That's what segued me into wrestling.
But you channeled DC into a positive thing. That's good. That's dope.
Right. When I started rapping, I was one of those that I did everything. I freestyled, I battled, I did music, I did everything. But after I got out of high school, there was really no way for me to compete in anything. You know, wrestling is not something that you can go to a park and you know what I'm saying? It's just wrestle. What's up? You know what I'm saying? I can't just go to random gyms like Pokemon and start challenging people to fight. You know, so I'm like, man, I really want to do something that I could, you know, let out my competitive side in, and that's how my love for battle rap started coming. I started doing little freestyles here and there, started beating people, and I'm like, yo, this is fun. And I just got deeper and deeper into it. And
you've been doing it for 10 plus years at this point, right?
Yeah, at this point, it's been 10 plus.
I mean, according to you, only reason why to do something for so long is for the love of it, right? I think you said that in the battle rap documentary.
Absolutely.
And your first organized battle was officially out of high school. Is that correct?
My first organized
sort of official, let's say.
Well, in terms of like freestyle battles, I had like hundreds. You know, before my first organized like freestyle battle event was right out of high school, and then my first like written battle event was a few months after that.
Because of course that's something that I noticed too. Like in the first battles that I watched, first of all, you were competing sometimes 2-on-2, which I thought that was interesting. Second of all, was freestyle, wasn't like written over the acapella. So how was that transition for you? Like going from the freestyling to the written now, how was that learning process for you?
So the freestyle rap was more, it takes more, I would say, practice and more dedication to get good at, right? So like the barrier for entry when it comes to freestyling is a little bit higher because it's real easy to sound whack when you freestyle. Very easy. Very even for the best freestylers in the world, you could just have like an all freestyle. It happens, you know? I remember when there was this thing called the World Rap Championships, WRC. It was around like 2005, 2006.
Okay.
And that was like a 2-on-2 kind of like half written, half freestyle kind of competition that they had at the time. Thesaurus and Immaculate were still legends today. They were like just running through all the competition in there at the time. They actually had a Parable who's from down here, from Miami. Cool. He went to Braddock.
Oh my God, I went to Braddock.
Yeah, he went to Braddock. He's a little bit older than us, but he was actually part of that. Nice. And I remember I have mutual friends with Parable. I don't really know him like that, but I had mutual friends with him, and that's how I really like tuned into that. Right. And I noticed that that was kind of like a dope mix of the two. So it wasn't like a hard transition from one thing to another. Okay, that's interesting. It kind of went from a mix of like, you could tell stuff was like pre-buttals, some things were thought of before, but there was definitely still a lot of on the spot stuff. That's where the transition came, like around that time.
How long did it take you to develop the way you write? Because according to the doc that I watched, you basically use like 3 different notebooks, right? First is your scattered thoughts, your ideas. Then you go into the second notebook, which is the punchlines, filling in some blanks, the setups, and then the last one is the finished material. So how long did it take you to actually develop that process,
So that whole process really, if you think about it, that's the process that they teach you in school to write essays. That's true. It's the exact process. And I just literally took what I learned in school and applied it to rap. I didn't immediately start doing that. Yeah,
that's why it probably took some trial and error.
I used to just like kind of just write line by line. Just whatever line came to me, I would write it down, then go to the next one. But then I started noticing sometimes that I'd have a punchline in the beginning and a punchline in the end, and they would have sounded real good if one was just right after the other, because they kind of relate to the same
structure.
Subject.
You gotta like sort of put it together.
So then I started from doing that to kind of chopping them up and moving one thing here, moving another thing there, and then I started noticing that I would have on one paper. Right, I would have just 16 bars written, but all over the paper I had fucking arrows and scribbles and all this shit, and it became like unworkable, like unreadable. When it came time for me to practice, it was like, yo, what the fuck am I? Where is the next line? I can't tell. And then that's kind of where I started doing like let me start organizing this shit first. Let me write down all my ideas, then let me put the ideas in order, and then let me fill in the blanks.
How did you get the name Dropz? I believe it was given to you by your friend many years ago.
Yeah, it was given to me by a friend in middle school. His name is Steven. I don't chill with him a lot anymore, but shout out to him. I always see him. That's my guy. But it was basically when I started rapping in middle school, I had another name. I don't remember what it was.
It's probably whack. That's why you don't remember.
It was something stupid. Like, it was like, just like it's like, what?
No bueno.
And then my homeboy, he goes, man, that shit is whack. Yo, your name should be Dropz, bro, because you're always dropping some shit. I'm like, that shit don't make no sense, bro. You're just gonna call me Dropz because I'm dropping something. It's like that's stupid too. But he just started calling me that.
And then it stuck.
And it just stuck, and it's just stuck since then.
Do you have any favorite battle rappers in particular?
Yes. I have favorites from different eras. When I started battle rapping, my favorite battle rapper was always Hollow the Don. Yeah. I love Hollow the Don, and a lot of people kind of like they forgotten how legendary he was back in the days, or like when he was first more active. Yeah. But he was so versatile. I feel like he could do everything, a little bit of everything. He could do punchlines. He could be funny. He's really good with freestyling. And that's kind of what I try to emulate when I came into the game. I'm like, man, you can't just be a super street guy and just start talking all these gun bars and shit. You can't just be a fucking clown and just start making jokes for 2 minutes either. You know, I'm not a comedian to be that funny. That's kind of where I kind of like learned to take a little piece of everything and try to be as versatile as possible. And even if you're not the greatest at one thing, if you're good at everything, you can be the greatest overall.
It's true. So him in particular, that was kind of like who you looked up to when you started off.
Yeah, when I came into the game. Now I would say one of my more favorite rappers is Nitty. Okay. He's just such a creative writer, and his punches are so like left field that it's like something to strive for. A lot of times you think that everything has been said, and you're like, man, how many more punchlines can exist?
And they keep coming,
They keep showing up, so it's exciting.
Something that I thought that was super interesting in watching all your battles, and even speaking to you, that you mentioned, you know, a lot of your battles are sometimes days or weeks apart. So, you know, in that writing process, in that memorizing process, how do you like not mix up your shit? You know what I mean? Like, is it difficult to just practice for 2 at once, or how does that work in your brain? Like, I don't know.
I'll be completely honest with you. The memorizing is torturous. It's literally like torture.
Yeah.
Like, you know how in torture they play like a song for people on repeat over and over and over?
That's true.
It's literally that. So my personal process when I'm preparing for a battle is, to me, the most important part of my preparation is 2 days directly before.
Wow.
All right.
Only 2.
2 days
For me, it would've
directly.
taken me forever.
I need to be done with my material 2 days before. I mean, there's been times where I finish the day of, you know, and I wing it, and I'm able to make it happen. But to be like on point, to be 100%, it's scientific. Actually, I looked it up, and you need sleep for your brain to memorize stuff. Memory is attached to rest.
Yes.
So what I try to do is I'll put on a timer and I'll recite my material for, let's say, an hour. That's usually my standard. I'll recite my material for like an hour, put a timer, and go on about my day. Do it again before going to bed.
Okay.
You know, and then I'll wake up the day before the battle, do the same thing.
Cool.
I'll practice for an hour, go on about my day, do it again before bed, go to sleep, and that's the most important part, is the sleep. If I don't get the sleep, I don't memorize, and I know because it's happened.
Yeah.
You know, I know this thing because I've pushed it to that limit. I know exactly how much time I need.
But honestly, I'm impressed that you only do it 2 days before. Like I said, I feel like for me, it would have taken me like a whole week to memorize some shit. So that's I guess over the years, right? Practice and experience.
That's how it used to be when I first started. So I learned that it takes me 2 days because there was one time that I only had 2 days to memorize, and I realized, like, when I got up there, I felt comfortable. Yeah. You know, at first, like when I was on the way to the event, I was scared. I'm like, fuck, I only memorized for 2 days, dude. Like fuck, I might go up there and forget. Yeah. But when you're up there, I kind of like everything was just easy. So it's like, all right, with 2 days, I feel comfortable. I feel confident.
Do you often, like, how often do you intentionally do rebuttals or improvise your lines? Because I noticed that you kind of do it in every single battle. So do you try, like, go in there with the intentions of, like, I'm going to rebuttal some shit that he says, or just on the fly, if it happens, it happens?
So I've gotten to a part where it's both a gift and a curse, where the rebuttals are almost expected of me. Ooh, okay. Where it's like, if I do a battle and I don't rebuttal, people are gonna be too like, yo, you're doing right? Yo, you okay? Like it's almost like a signature of mine. Like, it's like the rock bottom and the people's elbow. Like, people wait for that and they expect that of me now. So I do like if you notice in my battles, while my opponent is rapping, I'm always very actively listening. Yep. And I'm always like just trying, like I'm always do try to rebuttal. I try to rebuttal at least once around. Yeah. And I honestly, I don't think a lot of people think it's such like a hard thing to do. I think if you can rap, you can rebuttal.
I was gonna say maybe hard for me, like that I don't rap. Like, you know,
it's just a matter of not being scared. Most of the times, and
having the guy like screaming at you while you're trying to make some shit up. Yeah,
you know? That usually like I sometimes I do this in my battles where I'll watch the other guy's round and I'll see the part that I know I'm gonna rebuttal, that I know the rebuttal.
And then you're not listening to the rest.
Yeah, and I'll see the part like you'll see me like listening to his round, and then once I hear the part that I know I'm gonna rebuttal, I just tune him out completely. Yep, he's like, not hearing anymore, and I see just the gears working in my head. I'm like, all right, how the fuck am I gonna rhyme this shit? What am I gonna say here? And that's how it comes out.
Which round would you say is the most important? I have a quote here that you said the first round has to be your least riskiest, the sure thing.
Yes, I would agree. So
you would say the first round is the most important?
I don't think it's the most important, but I would agree that it has to be the least riskiest in my opinion, because like you can lose people in the first round. I've seen it happen where you know, somebody comes out in the first round, it's just like, you know, it's not that good, and then the people in the crowd are disinterested, and a lot of people might not give you a second chance. Yeah, like, you know, or if it's on YouTube, some people, if your first round is whack, they'll turn off the video. Yeah. They'll be like, oh, fuck this shit. This
That's so true. How important do you think it is to go first or second in the battle? Because you typically, I mean, not typically, but a lot of times you chose to go first.
Yeah, I choose to go first a lot. And it's for a variety of reasons. One of them being that I kind of like to rap. I hate waiting to rap. The nerves do sometimes get to me, like the anxiety of waiting there, and it's like, yo, I've been waiting all night to spit, these rounds, and I want to just start feel out the crowd,
That's
and
dope.
then go from there. And then usually I write my first round to be my least riskiest. That way I can just kick it in the door that way.
For sure. One of my pet peeves that I've learned about myself watching battle raps is that I cannot stand when the crowd doesn't shut the fuck up. Like, that is, like, how do you deal with it as a performer? Because, you know, like, somebody watching, I'd be, like, annoyed and everything. But as a performer, how do you get past that annoyance?
Crowd control is a skill that's all on its own. That's its own, like, dimension of battle rap. And sometimes you just tell the crowd to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like,
I do that shit a
but
lot.
I feel like sometimes the hosts don't do that, like, well enough, I guess. So I guess it's like what you said, crowd control. You gotta be like legit about it.
Sometimes hosts are hesitant to do that because I've seen hosts like try to shut the crowd up, and it kind of interferes with the battler's momentum.
Okay,
you know, and
that's true.
You know, and I've seen that aspect of it. But usually, if I hear if my round is about to start and people are talking, I'll tell you, hey, everybody, shut the fuck up. I'm not gonna start rapping.
Bro,
Tell everybody's
so
quiet.
annoyed.
I'm not gonna start. You know, we're gonna be here all night if we got to. And
I just feel like if you're going to a show, you should show a little respect. Like, you're paying, or I don't know if you're paying or anything, but like, you're going to attend, just pay a little respect to the performers. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm an alien, but
yeah.
How and why did you get the Art of War tattoo?
The Art of War tattoo, I got it. This is a funny story. I got my Art of War tattoo like straight out of high school, just because I wanted to get a fucking tattoo.
Right.
And I chose Art of War because that's the particular book I was reading at that time, or I had read before that time.
And it resonated.
And yeah, and I loved it. And I'm like, man, that's that. I feel like that's a cool, you know, that was a cool book to get, and that's something that I apply. I try to apply a lot, so let me get that.
Dope.
Not long after that, like maybe like a year or so after, is when LMS, shout out to LMS, that's my homeboy. LMS started Art of War Battle League. Yeah. Right? He started that league. And I'm like, what? You started a league called Art of War? I'm like, yo, check out, bro. I got Art of War on my back right here.
Not official.
Yeah. He's like, yo.
It's crazy.
What? He looked at me like I was Jesus, you know? Like, it's like, yo, this is destiny, bro. You're the chosen one. You gotta come out here.
Well, I was gonna say, the universe aligned for you, yo. That's dope as fuck.
Yeah, that shit was kind of cool. I ain't even gonna lie. When he told me that, I'm like, man, I'm gonna take over this motherfucker, bro. This shit gonna be my house.
But you really have over the years.
Yeah.
How was it battling the legendary PH and then losing him just a few weeks later? May he rest in peace. What did you learn from that experience and battle, and from him in general? You know, he has a lot of impact on the game. They named a street after him in New York and everything. So how was that for you? And again, may he rest in peace.
Man, rest in peace, PH, man. PH was my first real big name in battle rap ever. My first shot. He was the first person that really gave me a opportunity when I was still no name, right? That battle taught me a lot of stuff, man, because it was not only PH was battling, but it was PH and the rest of a lot of Team Hami was also there. Right, they were battling that day. It was kind of like a Art of War thing with Team Hami battling a bunch of our locals, and my battle was good. Right, I did good with PH. Me and him went on a good back and forth. But a couple of the other guys that battled that day didn't do as good as I did. You know what I'm saying? They didn't do as good as me. And that was one of the first times where I saw people who were professionals at this. Yeah. You know, battling people who aren't.
Like amateurs.
Right, right. I've seen professionals battle each other before. Right. But seeing somebody who wasn't ready.
Different level of.
And I'm like, man, I can't let that be me.
Right.
You know, that's something that taught me that day. I'm like, man, if I'm gonna battle somebody big, I gotta be ready.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good lesson to have.
Yeah.
Why did you feel that you needed to change your name? I think it's because you started winning so much at one point, but you went from Dropz to then Drop 30. So why would the name change?
It was funny, man. After this one particular battle I did, one time I smoked this one guy. One of my homeboys from battle rap, he just yo, bro, your name is Drop 30 now. You just dropped 30 on that boy. I'm like, man, I like that. I like that.
That's fire, yo.
I like that. So it just... I mean, I'm always gonna be Dropz. Dropz is as much my name now as it is my government.
That's how I know you, basically.
Most people know me as Dropz.
I forget your real name.
I can't escape it. That's just what people identify with me. You know. But then Drop 30 was just kind of like such a cool battle rap alias. I'm
official,
I'm gonna pick that up, man. I'm gonna go with that too.
Well, to juxtapose a little bit, in your battle versus BANGZ, it was the first time I watched the battle that I felt you sort of lost. Quote unquote, although his voice wasn't my favorite at the time. And I think at that time you actually forgot your bars in the rounds. So what happened in that moment? Does that happen to you often that you're shit, I'm blanking out? Or how do you like bring it back in, you know?
That battle, yeah, I had a point in my third round when I forgot, and it sucks because I forgot the line right before, like my ending line, right? So I was there, I'm like, man, I know I'm about to finish this round.
Yeah.
Like, I know the round is almost over. I have literally 2 more lines left. And I was just trying to think about what was that second to last line, and I got it. And, you know, I was able to pick it back up and finish the round. But honestly, something I learned from that is like next time if you're almost done, just cut the round at that point.
Okay,
Just be like time. That's it. That was my round. You know, because I was up there for I was up there for like 10 seconds trying to remember my shit, and it was only 2 more lines left. So it was like it wasn't worth it to get those lines out.
Good learning experience. I mean, a lot of your opponents brought that up. I guess it was one of your bigger battles. That one was
BANGZ. That particular battle was on iBattle, and he's a really big staple of the iBattle.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
he's a legend in that league. And in his own right, I think BANGZ is supremely talented.
He did really well.
He's
like I said, his voice didn't do it for me, but man, he was like...
He's one of my favorite battle rappers.
It was the first time that I was like, yo, I'm not being biased with Dropz. Like, I feel like he sort of lost his shit.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. That was one of the ones that a lot of people, you know, think I could have lost. I think it was a real good, like, you know...
A memorable one.
Exactly. Like, even if I did lose it, I'm not displeased by my performance in that battle.
Yeah, you did wonderful. After becoming the new Art of War champion, you then went to Detroit to battle LOONEY BARZ, female rapper. How was that experience for you personally? Because apparently you performed at the original hip hop shop, the one from 8 Mile. So was that cool for you or what?
That was super cool. That was so...
I didn't know that until after I was researching.
It was very surreal to like realize I was there, and it's like you see the hip hop shop in the movie, and seeing it in person, that's not what it is. In the movie, it's this humongous, like huge estate. The hip hop shop is a pretty small, like, you know, area in 7 Mile. And it was super dope to just be there.
It's like
that battle was my second time in Detroit.
Yeah.
And I remember when after like my first battle, I had gotten re-invited back there, and I'm like, man, this is so cool. Like, people in Detroit know about me, you know, and people like respect me out here, and they respect my freestyle ability, which was to me was what was like meant the most to me.
Yeah, of course.
That like I'm known as a freestyle guy in Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, where this shit is like heavy.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of heavy MCs in Detroit.
Yeah, it's dope. I was just recently back in Michigan in Flint, and it was same as always. They're great out there. They show so much love, and they appreciate the art form.
I love that. How do you prepare for a battle against a woman differently than you would for your other battles?
That shit, I'm not gonna lie, it was very, very like challenging because I have a lot of friends that I try to explain this to. Like, battle rap is not just all about disrespect. It's not just all
about creativity.
It's creativity, exactly. It's all about like finding angles and ways to approach and diss somebody.
How can I flip this that nobody else has heard that?
Exactly, and with a woman, it's different.
Yeah,
it's different because
you don't want to cross a line. Because
it's very easy to come across as distasteful when you say certain things to a woman. You know, but you also don't want to seem like you're going easy on a girl either.
That's why it's like, how the fuck do I approach this?
It's very, very hard to like straddle that line where you're kind of in the middle, you know. And it was a little bit more challenging preparing for a woman.
Well, to my surprise, I mean, not to my surprise because females are the shit, but her second round was so solid and good. Like, you went right after and then you forgot your bar. And you sort of like forfeited, I think is the right word here. So how was that feeling that you sort of like, fuck this?
You know, that night was cursed, let me tell you.
I mean, she was a really good battle rapper.
No, she was good.
I was hella impressed with her bars.
She was good. I was actually in a group, like in a little crew with her baby daddy.
Okay, cool.
Doing OT7. He's a cool dude. He always showed me love when I was out there. So I knew she was gonna do good. Like I knew, you know.
Yeah, you already knew.
She has a reputation out there. But I don't know, man. There was literally something in the air that day because something happened every battle that kind of like threw everything off. Like during that event, some white guy got punched in the face because he was being disrespectful. somebody else in the middle of their battle threw up, like I'm talking about, like volcano explosive vomiting, like up in the middle of his battle. I've never seen anything like it before. Like it was like
one of those nights.
It was like something was in the air that day, and that day that ties into what we were talking about earlier when I told you I need 2 sleeps.
Yeah.
That day I had 1 sleep. That day I had 1 sleep. And I got into that, and the end of my second round came in, and I'm like, fuck. And the first thing I thought about was like, motherfucker, you didn't sleep twice. I swear to you, I had one. That's the one that made me think. I'm like, all right, I need to sleep twice before a battle to have my material down pat. Because that day I only went into it with like 1 day's worth of memorizing, and that's why I know that that's not enough. That's not enough. I need 2.
Too much. Yeah. You've never been afraid to travel to other cities to battle, so do you think that's given you the best experience so far?
I think that's the best part of battle rap is traveling. I battle a lot in Miami, right?
Yeah, of course.
And there's a lot of guys that battle in Miami that only battle in Miami or only battle in Florida.
Interesting.
And I try to tell these people all the time, like, man, until you've gone somewhere else.
Yeah, where nobody knows you.
Exactly. Where nobody knows who you are or nobody knows what to expect from you. I don't feel like you've truly battled. If all you've done is performed in front of a group or a room full of your friends.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's not real. Like, yeah, you're getting reaction, but that's not real reaction. Those are your friends hyping you up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you have to travel. You have to go outside and do that shit somewhere else to see what you're really made of. Yeah. And not only to see what you're really made of, to see how you hold up when you don't get reaction. How you respond to that. Yeah, you know? Or do you stop? Do you keep going? Do you know what I'm saying? Those are all things that you pick up, but you can only pick up on away games. That's why that's important.
I love that. In your last couple of battles that I watched, they were pretty hard to judge. Like, you know, from a fan perspective, you battled June PZ, ARKAY, Kane, and then T-Top, which is a super popular guy. Major Look for You, which, I mean, even when I YouTubed you the other day, I wrote Dropz, and the first thing that came up was Dropz versus T-Top, which is super dope. So how was that, getting a Major Look for You in that way?
That was super dope. That had been a long time coming. When I won the Art of War Championship, the prize was
it's a battle,
a battle, a major name.
Oh, sure.
A major name.
Nice.
So it took a while. I ended up not doing the battle for like a year or so after I won because they, you know, logistics and whatnot. But when they told me, when Don Marino, he's actually the one who set that up, he hit me up. He goes, yo, I might be able to get T-Top for you. I'm like, bro, let's do it. Let's set it up. I'd be super excited to do that. So he came down here, shout out to T-Top, because he did his motherfucking thing.
He did.
He didn't come to play. I have battled a lot of URL guys that come down and go to another city in a small league, and they come to play and they get smoked. T-Top, he came, he did his thing, and I appreciated him for that. And he's a cool guy.
And I love too that, like, even in the YouTube comments, like, people were shouting you out, like, yo, T-Top did great, but show love to Dropz because he held it down too. So, you know, you held it down. That's
how you know if the YouTube comments, listen, there's a couple of the darkest places in the internet, and one of them is the YouTube comments. You don't like right up there where World Star Hip Hop and Twitter porn, like, those, like, are like the darkest corners of the internet. Like,
so if they're showing you love in the comments, it's official.
Yeah, definitely.
When are the winners announced, if ever? Because I barely saw, like, anyone officially, like, yo, this guy won. So it's like, does that ever really happen?
Well, judging in battles is something that hasn't really been happening for a few years now, for like the better part of a decade, because when battles first started coming out, they were judged, right? But they could never really figure out the correct way to call a winner. Right. And there was always constantly a controversy on somebody winning a battle that everybody else thinks they should have lost, right? Okay. So they kind of just left it up to like fan debate, and they just kind of do it. Because also it depends on who's the viewer, who's winning, right? Because it's all based on experiences and what you like. And what you relate to when you're watching a battle. So somebody might relate to something somebody's saying and not relate to the other battler at all. And the inverse might be opposite for somebody else.
For someone like me watching, like, I don't know, if you were to drop some basketball bars or some Dragon Ball Z bars, maybe I won't pick it all up and be like, I mean, I still fuck with it, but I feel you, it won't really hit me the same. Right. Like, maybe I won't choose you as my winner. Right. Do you think that the timekeepers in battles are legit at all times?
No.
I was watching
No.
a lot of those battles. I was like, fam, like, who is keeping time?
No.
What's happening?
Not at all. Not at all.
Thank you for
Not even close. They're like as of
General
recent.
time, like,
Yeah, as of recent, they have been doing more judged events, right? Where the time is strict, right? Where I have seen them call time on people and cut people off.
Okay.
But ever since they kind of stopped doing the judging, they kind of just said, fuck the time, you know? Like, I've been in a battle where like, I get booked for a one-rounder, and they're like, yo, I got a one-rounder for you, 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, cool. All right, I know exactly how much 5 minutes is in bars. I know. I've done this for a long time.
Okay.
All right? And I'm up there, and I spit my 5 minutes, and the other guy goes, and I hear him rapping for like a good 15 minutes. I'm like, yo.
I was watching like, fam, what is like,
I've seen
I
that.
hope they give Dropz this much time, because I was like,
I have seen that happen so many times, and it's like.
And then the crowd too is like, oh, and then he's like hyping up with the crowd.
You know, but
like
believe it or not, that's actually a disadvantage, man. Rapping for that long is never entertaining. Nobody wants to hear
it makes me forget what they said in the
Right. It's never entertaining to hear somebody rap for 15 minutes straight, especially battle rap where there's no beat, there's no nothing. You're just and you're not switching up your flow, and you're just spitting for a whole like 15 minutes. It's not
like redundant. It gets
you get tired of it. You get tired of it.
Was there ever a time that you felt like legit disrespected, like you were pissed as fuck during the battle? Because I mean, there was one time that a guy flicked you off from the crowd and shit, like completely unrelated. So it's like those are the type of things that like would rile me up. So like, how do you deal with that? And like, have you ever felt like, yo, I'm gonna find you after my battle, I'm gonna go fuck you up and shit?
Let me see. I'm actually trying to think of it, and that's a good question.
Well, the reason I asked too is because I saw you recently tweet that there are things that will qualify you to get punched in the fucking face.
Absolutely.
So that's why I thought it was interesting that you said that, and thankfully you've never got into that point.
Absolutely. Right? There is like so a lot of battle rap fans, right? A lot of people who don't do this, right? Because anybody who does this would probably agree with me. But a lot of battle rap fans, they're under the impression that it's, oh, this is battle rap. The name of the game is disrespect. You're just supposed to take anything anybody says to you. Wrong. Yeah. Wrong. That's wrong. No.
Operating on
There's definitely a line that can be crossed. And when you start stepping into certain territories, you have to stand behind what you said. Like, yeah, you were performing, it was battle rap. Yeah. But when the battle's over, you got to stand behind the words now. You know, and you know, it can get there for the wrong thing being said, you know. Luckily, it's never even gotten close to that. Like, I've never had anybody address like a dead relative like that. Or talk about something, you know, that's real sensitive to me or anything that's really, you know, it's never really been there.
Let's keep it that way.
Because I got hands.
Yeah, he said it earlier, so don't fuck with the boy. What is your favorite battle of yours, if any?
That changes all the time. That changes all the time. One of my favorite battles, man. I like my favorite battle is tied a lot more to like the experience that I went through, surrounding the battle. So my battle against Michael Ice, which is my first battle in Detroit. I love that battle because it was my first battle in Detroit. It was also we did a road trip to get there. Whoa. Like it was me and like 7 other battle rappers. Holy we came all the way from Florida. We picked people up all along the state, Georgia, and went all the way to Detroit. And it was just kind of like a us versus them kind of thing, you know. It was a lot, and that was just a real dope experience. And to be in Detroit the first time, that shit was awesome. So that's definitely one of my favorite battles. Ironically enough, a lot of my favorite battles tend to be my like least viewed ones, like my ones that get the least exposure. And I don't know how it happens that way. I have a battle against a guy named 305. It happened in Jacksonville. I love my material for that battle. I had super great like name flips for him. And my recent battle with PHYRE, that one just came out like a week ago. That was in Flint. I love that battle too. That shit was awesome.
I think you did excellent. I saw it.
That shit was a great battle. They showed me mad love. I got everything I wanted out of the crowd in that one.
Yeah, so it was dope. And even the setup too, I liked it.
Yeah, it was dope.
So now I'm ready to pivot to a different area of your life that seems to be making a strong comeback recently, and that's actually making music. According to you, battle rap is my sport, music is my art. So what made you return to this part of your journey? And I believe that you said in the documentary as well that music has always still been the end goal, you know, for you. So, you know, just elaborate a little bit about that.
I mean, it's just battling can only do so much for you in terms like for me personally, like internally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like I can express myself many more ways through music. You know, there's just so much more range of creativity to be done there.
Yeah.
And even though music, I think, is more like personal, and it's like a little bit harder for me to like open it up. Like, it's definitely something that I feel like I need to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a part of me. It's what I started with. You know.
Do you think you're gonna release like a full length before the year's over type shit, or is that too soon?
Probably too soon. At least not me by myself.
Right.
Me and Marcus are working on our own project.
Right. I was actually with Dropz and Marcus in the studio recently because they are working on a collaboration project. Excuse me. So how does it feel to get back in the booth with somebody else too, like as you know, as a teammate?
Well, that's always how it's been. Really, I've never done a solo project before.
Oh, because of JTC.
Right.
Okay,
right.
Got you.
Every time that I've been in the booth, it's been with the boys, with the group. And it felt just like, you know, riding a bike.
Yeah, that's what I actually asked you that day. How did it feel to be here? And you said familiar. That was the word that you said.
Yeah, it was just like getting back on it. The booth, I mean, recording is its own like skill, you know, and it's its own technique to recording a song and making a song and writing a song. That's completely different from battle rap. So it's just cool to have
even being
both sides.
present, like, and watching you guys do the process was like learning for me, like how you guys build up the track and put the pieces together. That was super dope, and I'm excited for that project, man. Both of you guys, you know, been putting a lot of work over the years, and I know that the material is gonna be great. I know it. What type of beats are you looking to rap on 2021? So many things have evolved. You know?
Yeah, I definitely. In the past, I have rapped on a lot more like boom bap kind of shit. More. I definitely want to go like deeper into a southern sound, at least for my own project, because I'm good at that shit. Like I love that shit. I love rapping on different kinds of tempos and flows, and I love switching shit up. And also, I don't want to be like one of those guys that I'm from Florida, but I sound like I'm from New York. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not. I
appreciate that you're repping for the South.
Yeah,
like you want to get into that.
I want people to hear my shit and the you know, immediately pick up what region I'm from. Yeah. You know.
Do you have like a top 5 rappers that you listen to? Like not like top 5 that are alive, but like that you're currently listening to in the.
Yeah, definitely. I listen to a lot of Griselda.
Of course.
Yeah, I love them boys.
Me too,
they've been killing the game lately. I listen to a lot of Freddie Gibbs.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of Rick Ross. I love Rick Ross. Yeah. His albums are always amazing. And what else do I listen? I mean, I listen to a lot.
Probably old school shit.
I listen to a lot of old school shit. Obviously, I mean, Redman, Wu-Tang, those are like my staples, you know. But as of late, I don't listen to a lot of like more of the newer sounding hip hop. You know, like a lot of like the auto tune kind of stuff. Not really my wave, you know. But I mean, everybody does their own thing.
And it has its moments when it's appropriate, like for parties or when you're out.
Hip hop is different now because I said this to Marcus recently. We're getting now to like the first time in history where rappers are getting older. You know, where rappers are
if they make it, you know what I mean? Because unfortunately our culture is not taken care of. But it's true what you said, that we're just turning 50, like in 2023, I think it is. So it's like amazing, and this is like the first time we're ever evolving. Exactly. So it's like you look at rock music, for example. You have like classic rock, you have metal, you have punk, you have so many different kinds of rocks that sound completely different, and a fan of one is not a fan of the other. They're completely different things, and that's where I think hip hop is getting to now. Yeah, where it's branching to different subgenres that, you know, certain people can appreciate and certain people don't. Yeah, for sure. So when can the people expect at least a new solo song from you?
That sooner than later.
Okay,
that one in the project me and Marcus are working on, we have solo songs that we are working on in that project, and we are planning on releasing some of those. Especially, particularly the one that I'm working on. I love that song.
Awesome, yes. Are you planning on doing features as well?
Features on other people?
Yeah, like with homies, or people ask you.
Yeah, you know, Cairo's my dog. I want to definitely be on one of Cairo's
Session number projects. 1 interview, Cairo, a big homie.
I definitely shout out to Chaotic Steel. I know I've been in touch with A&T, and I know Chaotic Steel wanted me on some of his songs. I fuck with Chaotic Steel. He's fucking nice too. A&T, obviously my homeboy, my dog forever. I want to be on some of his projects. So definitely I want to be on other people's projects. I love features. I like to come through and just
kill shit.
You know?
All right, cool. So some final thoughts just to wrap it up. How do you think battle rap culture can improve from your point of view?
Battle rap culture is going to get to a level that it's never gotten to before once people can live off battle rap.
Yeah, that's so true. That's very true.
Right?
Yeah.
Right now, there's a handful of battle rappers that can survive off of their battles.
Yeah, like
you know?
Big names.
Exactly. It's pretty much big names, or if you're not a big name, you have to battle every week, which is so
exhausting.
strenuous.
Oh my
it's
God.
very hard.
Holy shit.
To write, memorize, and perform material in 7 days, I have done it, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it's once people can get to the point where they don't have to worry about their personal life all the time, or their job, or having to get a day off or shit like that, you're gonna see a lot more battle rappers
like flourishing and shit.
Have more time to focus, man, because it's the culture's definitely expanding. It's getting into places it's never been into before.
I mean, that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? I want to cover it. I think it's so fucking important.
Yeah, it's getting to a part where it's never been to before, and it only keeps going. So eventually, there is going to be a point that battle rappers and battle rap is its own sustainable career.
Love that. I hope so. I hope that for you guys. What are your thoughts on, like, for example, Drake being involved in the events, and he has like the caffeine app and stuff? He put up money recently for the Sue Surf. I mean, I'm sorry, he put up money for the battle, but he also said he would put up top dollar to see Sue Surf and Murder Mook battle, which I thought was dope and interesting. So how do you feel like somebody, you know, with his stature, like he's such a superstar, supporting battle rap as well?
I mean, it can only do good things for us.
Yes,
the exposure from having somebody like Drake be a fan of
and he really is, I think so.
Yeah, he really does fuck with it, and it just can only bring more eyes to the culture.
I love it.
And I've always said I feel like battle rap, like just pure battle rapping, is the purest form of lyricism that exists, because it's just lyrics.
Yeah.
And I feel like shining a light on that is going to definitely get so much more fans, so much more money, and so much more attention for everybody involved.
Yeah. You know, doing this interview, I realized how much Florida battle rap is actually active. Do you feel like it's not recognized enough? Like, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely not. Although it has a lot to do with Florida itself.
That we suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
There's a lot of division between a lot of the Florida battle rap. It's very cliquey, you know. It's very like one league over here, one league over here, one league over here, and one league over here, and it's very little collaboration.
Yeah.
Between them all, other than like just making sure not to schedule events on the same days.
Okay.
But I feel like the thing that would push Florida battle rap the most is some sort of unification amongst everybody, or at least
networking, collabing,
or at least like a premier location. This is like, yo, everybody can have their own league, but this is the league. This is the league in Florida. You know what I'm saying? That's what I feel like we're lacking. I feel like everybody's just kind of like in their own corner. You know, and it's separating resources for everybody else.
Well, I mean, hopefully we'll open some eyes with our interview, man. Are you ever going to retire from battling? That's my last question.
I mean, only as much as every battler does retire. You know, everybody says they're gonna retire, but me personally, I feel like I look at battle rap the same way as I look at going to the gym. You know, it's a matter of keeping myself sharp, and for now, I don't see myself stopping it. You know, I really like to do it. I enjoy it a lot, and it does well for me. You know, it allows me to have experiences I would have never had otherwise.
Yeah, and express yourself too. You know,
it's fun. It's fun to do.
And you do have a battle rap coming up soon, next weekend.
Yes.
So that's exciting. Are you ready?
Not at all. It's still like a week and a half away. But
you like to work under pressure.
I'm getting ready. Now I've been focused on it for a good while.
Yeah.
Usually I do my best writing about now, about like a good 2 weeks before the event is when I really lock in. You know, the time before that is usually me gathering ideas and seeing what I'm thinking about. But I'm very focused for that one. It's on iBattle TV. Shout out to iBattle. Shout out Lex Luthor.
Make sure to check that shit out.
Yeah, I'm battling a guy named Jay Murder. He's very good. He's a real entertaining guy. But I'm looking forward to that one, definitely.
Exciting, man. Well, I'm looking forward to everything you have coming soon, from battle raps, collab projects, solo projects. you have an interesting journey coming, man. So I'm very grateful that you came to the Session TV and gave me this chance to interview you. Appreciate you.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, my friend. So one love to all of you guys who have tuned in. Make sure to follow this guy. What's your handles on your Instagram and your Twitter?
Dropz 305 everything. DROPZ 305.
You wanted to be tuned into this guy. Tap in, watch the bars, watch the battles, and make sure to continue to watch for all the music that's about to drop soon. I've been your host, Mel G. This is The Session TV, The Session. It's been a pleasure. One love, everybody. All the cameras.